So the second season of Celebrity Drag Race has been going on for about a month now, and it's clear that they want to really push a lot into this. They've been getting a lot of really expensive licensed songs, a new big stage, a lot of backup dancers, basically the full 9 yards. Ratings for this series seem to be pretty good, but nothing super remarkable, but I do hope they get another season because they've been putting a lot of effort into this. It's clear they really want to make this the next Masked Singer or something, and I think that's a really good idea, but it got me thinking about other spin-offs of Drag Race. So we know about Secret Celebrity Drag Race, both of the seasons being a little different from one another, but revolving around the concept that drag can change people's lives. There's other spin-offs too, like the WoW Presents series, Drag Race Vegas Review, which I want to do a full video on at some point, and some may even consider Untucked a spin-off of Drag Race as well. But today, I want to talk about the very first spin-off of Drag Race that they've tried to make you forget. It's a show that aired on Logo TV for 3 seasons, and yet now it's barely talked about outside of making jokes about it.
Except for Drag You. Girl, that really was a rough spot.
Oh, let's cut it for a minute.
What you say about Drag You?
That was a rough spot.
All right. Well, yeah, it was one of my favorite jobs. Did change people's lives, you know.
What's crazy is that it's available on WoW Presents, Amazon Prime, and other streaming services, but it is still extremely hard to find. They really don't advertise it as a show that's available online. I even expected myself to have to pay a lot of money to find it, but no, it's just on the website. So with all the vague talk out of the way, let's talk about RuPaul's Drag You. Also, only a small percentage of you guys are subscribed, so if you like this video, please subscribe. I opened this video talking about Secret Celebrity Drag Race because I think it's a successor to Drag You. Both of these shows take 3 people in and transform them into their drag personas as a way to branch out from their normal lives and discover more about themselves in drag. The biggest difference, of course, being that Secret Celebrity Drag Race has celebrities while Drag You just focuses on normal women. And yeah, that's the other big thing, it only really focuses on women contestants as opposed to other gay men or straight men who want to be on the show. Drag is framed in an interesting way in Drag You as more of an extension of femininity and what it means to be a woman rather than an art form in itself. We do have to keep in mind that this was back in 2010 to 2012 when the view of drag was a lot more narrow than it is nowadays. So what was being said a lot of the time is, oh, drag is great because it makes me feel like a woman again, or it just makes me feel really beautiful. Of course, those are still very valid ways of seeing drag today, but it was kind of presented like that was the only way on the show. Regardless though, there was a very positive presentation of what drag can do for people, and I think that extended all the way to Secret Celebrity Drag Race. I do want to focus on the first ever episode of the show because I think it's a great example of what makes the show work. I didn't say it before, but even how painfully early 2010s the show is, I'm actually really entertained by it, and I appreciate that they did it. So let's jump into the very first episode. The show opens with an intro that's classically Drag Race. Like with a lot of the Drag Race intros, this one starts off super dramatic and then it just gets crazy afterwards. It's super in your face, but then we quickly move on to the cast of queens. For season 1, we have Raven, Jujubee, Chanel, Pandora Box, Morgan McMichaels, Angina, Tammy Brown, and Nina Flowers. Season 1 of Drag You aired shortly after season 2 of Drag Race, and with each new season of Drag Race came a couple queens coming into Drag You. Basically, all of these queens that were present were fan favorites from the show who made it pretty far. When you look at the casting, it is very much a product of its time because we have people like Willem, Delta Work, Tyra Sanchez, and Carmen Carrera all being on the show. These are queens that we'll probably never see on Drag Race again, so the fact that they did this is a very interesting revelation. For season 1, episode 1 of Drag You though, we have Raven, Jujubee, and Angina being the professors. As a drag professor, you're supposed to help them out with their outfits, their makeup, but if we know anything about Secret Celebrity Drag Race, especially season 1, there were probably some behind the scenes hands helping out the women. Right after the intro, we got, oh my god, I forgot Ru did this in the early seasons. Yeah, so for some reason, Ru put on a slight character for Drag You President, growing a mustache out and kind of disconnecting himself from being RuPaul the drag queen. I'm glad he's able to express himself in any way that he wants, but it's just really interesting seeing him not get into drag at all for the entire show. At least he doesn't have to hide that he's wearing pants this time though. Then we're introduced to the 3 women who are going to be in this episode. There's often a theming when it comes to the women of each episode, like moms versus daughters, women in uniform, or in this episode, tomboys. Tomboys is another stereotype that I'm kind of glad we're starting to leave in the past. We see it here presented as kind of the opposite of drag, but it's never presented in such a negative way, at least for the most part. 2 of the 3 women wanted to change it up and be a little more feminine just because they wanted to do so. Reina went through a pretty traumatic experience early on in her life, and it made her not really want to wear feminine things, so that's why she dressed as a tomboy. Over the course of this episode, though it was never seen as a negative thing for her to dress dress this way, she found more power in dressing up in like a dress. Linda has always described herself as the Harley Davidson chick and says that she's never felt beautiful. But the way it's presented is that she just wants to feel beautiful, but it's not something that she completely needs to do. The only woman that I feel extremely bad for, who I feel like is doing it out of necessity, is Shea. Shea says over the course of the episode that her marriage is starting to crack in multiple ways, but one of them is because she dresses too much like a tomboy. She also says at the beginning that her kids are embarrassed of her because of the way she dresses and she's not beautiful like other moms, and it's so heartbreaking.
My son's 12 and it's kind of like, Mom, why don't you look pretty? Look at some of the other kids' moms, how pretty they look.
I really hope that she got what she wanted to get out of this experience, but also the fact that she is beautiful regardless of how she dresses. After we're introduced to the three women, it's split up into different sections, with the first being orientation. Rupaul walks out onto the runway, which is clearly not the runway from Drag Race. Actually, this whole set is pretty interesting, but keep in mind this is season 2 levels of budget, or even less. So we see this runway with some interesting looking church doors in the back and some glass panes that are obviously fake, and then we see to the sides of the stage the markers for where the chairs are gonna go later on. Behind the women is the judging table, and then there's some pillars to the side of that have iconic RuPaul sayings that are supposed to be like graduation themed, I guess. It's really giving the vibe of Drag Race France, where everything is filmed in probably 2 rooms at most. For the budget they had, it does look really cute, but you can also see where they cut a lot of corners. Let's just be thankful there's no Vaseline on the screen. RuPaul then describes the competition, yes, this is a competition, to the women, saying that they're gonna be graded on their DPA. D standing for drag transformation, P being performance, and A standing for attitude adjustment. I guess? Yeah, sure, I guess. He then tells the women to walk this way, no, seriously, walk this way, and brings them to the drag lab, which we gotta talk about also. It is so clearly just a room where they threw up some black curtains and then some shelves to put drag things on. The women are basically tasked to say, oh my gosh, this is so magical, this is such a crazy place, but it's just a room with shelves. Anyways, the women are then paired up with each of the queens, Shea with Angina, Reina with Jujubee, and Linda with Raven. The next section is entrance exams, where they ask very personal questions.
Okay, last time you had sex.
Regardless, the chemistry is there, and I really enjoyed the interactions between the women and the queens. Rue then calls them over to the Dragulator, which is, an old fax machine or something. Everyone is playing up the Dragulator like it's some machine that can really find the inner drag of someone when it's just FaceApp. That's all it is. They then take these photos of the women in drag and try to put it onto the actual women. It's a really cute idea, kind of the base model for what they might do in the future and what to avoid, like with Reina's whole hair deal that was going on. But before they can get started on the drag personas, they then move on to drag performance. They reveal to the girls that they're each gonna do a lip sync performance of Girls Just Wanna Have Fun, and they have a choreographer come in to help them with their walks and just kind of let loose. This is where the episode starts to get a little forced when they try to add conflict into something that doesn't really need it. The women are like, oh, I don't know if I could do choreography, and then Angina's like, Shea needs to step it up, we need to win, but it's clear none of them really care. The choreography is pretty easy, they're trying their best, and then everyone just gets up on stage and dances. There's no need for this forced conflict, it's just good vibes. We then make it back to the workroom where they start to work on their outfits, and something dawns on me. Who is making these outfits? I know Juju is not making that outfit. We know from All Stars 5 that Juju does not know how to sew, so I know someone behind the scenes is making it for them. We see later that they're working on their outfits, like Shea is cutting off the fabric, but at the end of the day, I don't think they're coming in to make their own garments. This was one of the confusing parts because we get little design, but then we also see them working on the outfits a little bit. I don't really know where or when it gets done. Then we get to one of the best moments of the episode, Reina opening up on why she doesn't like to wear dresses. A quick trigger warning for SA, skip to this part of the video if you don't want to hear about it.
Being feminine can be scary because of a past of being kind of sexually assaulted. I feel like if I get in a dress that I put myself in a position to be hurt again.
You show that you're this powerful being, it doesn't matter. They will be like, oh, I can't fuck with this bitch. Come out, that looks good. Do you feel powerless right now?
I feel like a sausage.
Do you feel like a powerful sausage?
It's a powerful sausage.
I really love what Juju says here, talking about being a powerful being rather than being feminine or masculine. It's way more important to feel powerful and confident in your appearance regardless of what it looks like. I was really taken aback by how serious and thoughtful they handled this topic, and this moment on, it really got me invested in the show. We then move on to another forced conflict moment that I really just don't understand why they're doing.
And then there was this gorgeous blonde wig. Put it on our table. And then who comes along?
Jujubee and her student had the only wig that would work for Linda's Dragulator look.
Girl, this is my table.
Oh, does it say Juju over here? Does it say Juju and Candy?
Seriously?
Do you want to do this? Juju and her student can kick rocks. I'm done. Goodbye.
With you.
Again, this was pre-All-Stars 1, but post-Season 2, so we knew who Raven and Jujubee were, but I don't think we realized how close they were. So we then get to this moment where Raven steals Juju's wig and is trying to be like a villain or something, but it's like, why even have this in here, guys? What are we doing? Fast forwarding a little bit, after Rue does a walkthrough, all of the queens leave with Rue, and then it's just the 3 women in the workroom talking a little bit and working on their outfits. It's weird because they weren't really tasked to do anything. Like, Reina was tasked to walk around in her heels, but that's about it. They didn't really have any idea what they were doing. And then this persists into the next day where they just walk in and then they start like brushing their wigs and being like, what am I supposed to be doing? But then the queens come back in and start to help them, and we're like, okay, we're back on track. Linda and Raven have a really great moment where Linda says positive affirmations back to Raven, and then each of them have a conference with Principal Rue talking about what they're going to be doing at Draguation. Sweet moments with Rue, and then Raven has another sweet moment with Linda back in the workroom where Linda finally feels beautiful.
And when somebody says I'm beautiful, that is nothing that I really take to heart. Today, I definitely believe it.
You're crying.
I'm trying not to. It's just, I think it just happens.
And then we cut to the main stage where they are about to Draguate. Friends and family are there to see the transformation, and then there's a judging panel that does some interesting things. They grade them. Like, full on grade them, and it's just a really interesting scenario. For the most part, it's good vibes, but still having them be up there and then just getting like C- for the way you look, it's just a little weird. They lip sync, and then Shea is announced the winner and wins some prizes on the side. But the true thing they all won is confidence and the feeling of beauty that they lost over the years. I'm not going to sit here and say that Drag U is some hidden masterpiece and we need to bring it back right away, but for what it was, I really do appreciate it. Something about taking ordinary people and giving them a transformation that builds their confidence and beauty really just, it hits home for me. I think we all know with Drag Race that drag can bring out the best in people, and I think that this show emulates that too. And it's clear that it found some sort of audience because it had 2 seasons after this one. Like I mentioned earlier, the next 2 seasons had girls from season 3 and 4, and also the sets got better and the budget got a little bigger. I would love to cover another episode of Drag U in the future, so let me know in the comments below. It seems like towards the end they really got their stuff together with what they wanted to do with the series and how they wanted to format it, so the growing pains of these early episodes may be gone by season 3. Regardless, for the series that has been lost to time, I thought that Drag U was going to be a lot more of a mess than it actually was. Instead, I found a pretty charming show about women wanting to drag up their life and bring out what they lost over the years. Give it a watch if you have WoW Presents because it's honestly pretty fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you couldn't tell that I was fighting off sickness this whole video. I will be covering some more spin-offs in the future, but for right now, I'm gonna go lie down. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon with another video.